Hey there, 8th graders. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining me for today's explainer. We are going to master a seriously essential skill today. We're talking about how to build a rock-solid argument, and honestly, more importantly, how to separate undeniable truth from just mere speculation. Because whether you're reading an article, writing a huge essay, or just listening to a debate, recognizing supporting evidence and details is literally the key to unlocking what's true and what's just noise. And this perfectly illustrates exactly why we're doing this today. 1 Thessalonians 5:21 tells us, "But test everything, hold fast what is good." See, God doesn't want us to just blindly accept whatever we hear or read. Not at all. He wants us to be sharp, critical thinkers. He wants us to actively evaluate information so we can discern what's true, grab onto it tightly, and build our knowledge on a really firm foundation. That is what being a wise student is all about. So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. Number 1, opinions versus evidence. 2, 4 types of evidence. 3, connecting to the thesis. 4, spotting irrelevant details. And finally, number 5, wisdom for real life. Let's just dive right in. Starting with section 1, opinions versus evidence. Okay, think about it like this. If you make a massive claim in your essay, but you don't back it up with any support, well, your thesis simply collapses. It's really just your opinion floating out there. A strong thesis, on the other hand, stands firmly on evidence. Evidence is the stuff that backs up your thesis, builds your credibility as a writer, and ultimately convinces your readers that what you're saying is actually true. Bottom line, if you want people to listen to you, you've got to bring the proof. Moving on to section 2, the 4 types of evidence. Before we open up our toolkit, let's make sure we have a crystal clear definition of what we're talking about here. Supporting evidence is the information used to back up a thesis, build credibility, and convince readers of the truth. I want you to think of evidence as the foundational building blocks you need to successfully construct any essay, article, or report. Without these blocks, your whole argument is just balancing on air, totally waiting to be knocked down. So there are 4 main types of evidence you really need to be looking for when you read and definitely using when you write. First up, facts. These are things that can be definitively proven true. Second, statistics. That's your numbers and data that give actual, measurable proof. Third, expert opinions. This is when you quote someone who has deep professional knowledge of the subject, which brings major authority to your work. And fourth, examples. These help clearly illustrate your point in a way your reader can easily visualize. Let's look at how a statistic actually works in action. Imagine your thesis is, school uniforms improve focus in the classroom. Now that's a strong claim, but to make it a strong thesis, you need proof. You could use a piece of factual support, like a study showing that 78% of students report fewer distractions when wearing uniforms. Boom, right? That 78% is measurable proof. It directly supports your claim and leaves the reader thinking, wow, okay, the data actually backs this up. Now here's another great way to support your claim. Imagine your thesis is, exercise reduces stress in teenagers. How do you prove that one? You bring in an expert. If you use a statement from a medical doctor explaining that physical activity lowers cortisol levels, which, by the way, are the hormones related to stress, in teens, you instantly win the reader's trust. They know you aren't just making a wild guess. You literally have medical authority on your side. All right, section 3, connecting to the thesis. Whenever you're reading an informational text, or honestly, whenever you're writing your own argumentative essay, I want you to constantly ask yourself this one absolutely vital question. Does this piece of evidence directly support the thesis? Ask it every single time. Is this detail actually moving the main idea forward and proving the point? Or is it just kind of interesting filler information that distracts the reader? Which brings us to section 4, spotting irrelevant details. Let's try a quick exercise. Imagine a thesis that states, electric cars reduce air pollution. Super clear claim, right? But what if the author then gives you this detail? Many electric cars are available in bright colors. Wait, what? What does a bright paint job have to do with reducing air pollution? Absolutely nothing. It completely fails to connect to the thesis. While it might be a fun little fact for some people, it does not move the main idea forward at all. So we call this an irrelevant detail. As a critical thinker, you've got to spot these and filter them right out. And finally, section 5, wisdom for real life. Here at HeroesMart Academy, we purposely intertwine biblical morality with education because of one core philosophy. Education without morality can actually hurt. And that is exactly why we must evaluate information rather than just accepting it blindly. Look, knowledge and intelligence are incredibly powerful tools, but they shouldn't just exist to make us more capable.
Think about it. If you're incredibly smart, but you completely lack a moral compass, that intelligence can easily lead you down the wrong path. Instead, your academic excellence should actively equip you to make wise, God-honoring choices in the real world. Learning to discern good evidence from bad evidence, that is exactly the kind of critical thinking that helps you avoid deception and seek the truth in your everyday life.
A godly learner evaluates information rather than accepting it blindly. And why is that? Because as Romans 8:6-7 teaches us, keeping the mind spiritually minded leads to life and peace. I really want to encourage you today to pursue absolute academic excellence. Seriously, learn how to write brilliant essays, learn how to analyze statistics, learn how to spot those irrelevant details. But as you sharpen your mind academically, intentionally keep your mind centered on God, on truth, on wisdom, and on making righteous choices. That, my friends, is what it truly means to be a godly learner. So, I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on as we wrap up today's explainer. How will you use your knowledge today to seek truth and honor God? As you read articles online or as you listen to people making arguments out there in the world, don't just passively absorb it. Test everything. Look for the actual evidence. Weed out the irrelevant details. Use the discernment God is giving you to hold fast to what is good. Thank you so much for joining me today, 8th graders. Now go out there and use your new skills to seek the truth.